And welcome to part 2 of Accounting the Basics, where we cover in a little more detail the rules of debits and credits. Let's put where we left off the last time when we were talking about some systematic approach to recording transactions. And if you remember where we left off, in the last tutorial, we got a good definition of our transactions. We know now how to record those transactions in accounting, and now we want to talk more about the systematic approach to recording these transactions in accounting. The first place that we need to start really is with what a debit is. And abbreviation for a debit is DR, that's an R. And definition of credit, and abbreviation for that is CR, that's an R. And to help us define what a debit and a credit is, we have to go back and look at our, that's pretty bad, but that's okay, that's a T account. And we need to go back and take a look at the T account, because that is going to help us define what a debit and a credit is. And if you remember from the last tutorial, we need to name those accounts. And of course, we'll just name it anything. Cash is fine. All right, so what's a debit? And we're looking at definitions here. What's a debit? What is a debit? Okay, a debit is left side of this account. Left side of this account. That's what a debit is. Left side. All right, so what's a credit? Well, a credit, then, I guess, has to be, well, I'm not guessing. I want you to get the pressure. I'm guessing here. The definition of a debit is the left side. Definition of a credit is the right side of these T accounts. And if you remember from the past, or just the previous tutorial, the recording of all those transactions are recorded in these T accounts. And remember that the T accounts are just a graphical representation of a general ledger account. And in future tutorials, I'll show you the difference between a T account and the actual general ledger account, but this is fine for now. Now, all the transactions that we record are recorded in these T accounts. Okay, well then we have to take a look at some rules to apply. We need to look at some rules to apply our debits and our credits. Because, look, instead of thinking about, say, a plus and a minus in relation to the debits and credits, think of it as an increase, decrease to a particular account. Okay, so let's go over this again. Start with our debits and our credits, because that is the way we are going to systematically record these transactions. In order for us to do that, we have to define what a debit and a credit is. Debit is left side. Credit is right side. As it relates to each one of these T accounts. Remember, in accounting, we record all of our transactions in these T accounts. Therefore, we need to have some sort of rules to help us apply the debits and the credits as we record these transactions. And what I'm saying here is that instead of thinking about a plus and a minus, which I know a lot of students like to do, they like to think of it as a plus and a minus and so forth, but I would rather you think about it in terms of an increase or a decrease, mainly because plus and minus is good for, say, a math class, but it's not going to quite make sense to you in accounting. So I would much rather us look at a debit increases, a debit decreases, a credit increases, a credit decreases. The question now is, well, okay, that's great, Victor, but how do I know? How do I know which account ends up on the left side of the account or the right side of the account, depending on whether I want to increase that account or decrease that account? All right, so let's take a little gander here, shall we? All right, let's take a look at increasing an account. So let's put up that's a little better. All right, so let's put up a cash account, and now I'm just going to throw some numbers in here. They're going to be correct in terms of debits and credits, but then I'm going to get real specific with you, and I'm going to show you some rules that that can help you understand what I'm doing here. So don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging. But what I want to talk right now is increase and decrease an account. Okay, because that's what debit and credit is going to do. Okay, those are R's, by the way. I know my handwriting is not really good, but at least my students know that, and so hopefully I'm sure you're not used to it, but never mind. Okay, I'm trying the best I can here to be clear, because I don't want to confuse you at all. I want this to help. So look, let's talk about increase. So I go to the bank and I deposit $100 in my cash account, okay? And I think everyone can agree that when I do that, I increase my cash account, right? All right, so I'm going to put 100 here. All right. Now, when I go to, I don't know, wherever, I go to a eatery or restaurant, or I don't know where I go, and I buy a burger, and that burger is $10. All right, that's an expensive burger. Now, we can also agree that $10 just decreased this account, right? So I'm going to put that $10 over here. Now look at this, because this really is a beautiful thing in accounting. This is what accounting is all about right here. All right, so I just increased my cash account by 100, decreased it by 10 because I went and bought that really expensive burger, and now I can put these two together. Because remember, this is always the debit side. This is always the credit side. So basically what I have in here is I have 100 debit and a 10 credit is what I have. Remember, that's true for any account. I don't care what you call that account. This could be a Mojo account, okay? And Mojo account is going to be debit here, credit here, always. Debit is always the left side, credit is always the right side, no matter what account we're talking about. So when I go back over here, I know I have 100 debit, and I know I have 10, sorry, I have 100 debit, I have a 10 credit. I have more debits than I do credit, so the balance in this account right now is 90. And that is the beautiful part about accounting, is that once I get all these transactions in, the accounting system, at any moment I can get my balance in these accounts, because that's really what we're doing here. So there's your increase and decrease. Now let's take a look at another increase and decrease before we get into some rules here. So let's look at, say, instead of a cash account, let's look at a fuel account. And this is really going to be, I know I haven't talked about this, but I will. This is really a fuel expense account, okay? So I go buy gasoline, okay, I load up my tank, and I've just spent $50, right? Well, when you look at this account, is that increasing that account? Not cash now, okay? Let's not confuse. Not cash. Fuel expense. When I spend $50, am I increasing fuel expense or decreasing? And of course, I am increasing this account because the more, we'll put 50 debit here, the more I spend on fuel, the larger and larger this number is going to get. For example, okay, today I spent 50. Tomorrow I'm going to spend 40. Now, is this account increasing? Yes, it is. And the balance that I have spent on my fuel so far is 90. All right, great. Now let's take a look at, that's an increase. Let's take a look at a decrease. Well, we did kind of, but let's see if we can come up with another decrease a little better. Okay, so let's take a look at cash. All right, let's be more specific, since that's kind of obvious. Let's be more specific with the cash account. Okay, so I've got that $100 that increased this account, and now I'm going to give you 20 bucks. I'm going to give you 20 bucks out of my cash account because, well, that's just the kind of guy I am. All right, that $20, is that going to increase this account or is it going to decrease this account? And I think we all realize it's going to decrease this account, and therefore my balance is 80. Okay, so debits and credits. And by the way, all I've done here, debit, credit, debit, debit, credit. All right. Left side, right side, left side. Those are debits. Here, Mojo account. Left, right, left, debit, right, credit. Okay? Now, ask yourself this question. How do you know to put the 100 here instead of here? In other words, when I'm dealing with this cash account, why am I putting the 100 here to increase it and not 100 here to increase it? And conversely, why am I putting the 20 here to decrease it rather than the 20 here to decrease it? In other words, look, and I'm running out of time, but real quickly, look, here's my cash account again, okay? I just put 100 into my bank account, which we know increases, which needs to go on this side, but how do I know that? How come I can't put it here and put this here and make this, okay? Is this saying the same thing as that? And it's not saying the same thing as that. And in the next part, I will show you why. See you soon.